It is exactly 8:35 a.m. Welcome back. This is News and Views right here on Salam Media. We're now going to be talking with Richard Mamabolo, and he is the spokesperson for POPCRU. He's going to talk about the reason why POPCRU has embarked on a national march today. I understand that it started at 6 o'clock from Church Square in Tshwane. They are going to be marching to the union buildings at 10 o'clock. So everyone gathered at 6 o'clock from Church Square. Let's hear what the crowds are looking like, who has joined them, what the march is all about, and more importantly, the role of SAPS. They are not allowed to protest or to march, are they? I mean, they are truly key personnel in the safety of the country. So, Richard Mamabolo, very good morning to you. Welcome to the program.
Good morning to you and the listeners. Sorry about the noise. It's quite noisy here where I am.
No worries, I can hear you loudly and clearly. Now, I know that you called for members to start congregating at 6 o'clock in the morning at Church Square, and the march is going to start around about 10 o'clock. What sort of an outcome have you had thus far? People still making their way to the meeting
Yes,
place?
no, definitely. People are definitely making their way to the meeting place. It's not Church Square, it's just about 2 blocks away from Church Square. It's on Khosimampuru Street, corner of Khosimampuru and Madiba Street. We've got different provinces which have arrived so far. The Western Cape, Eastern Cape, KZN, Northern Cape, those provinces which are on the far flung areas of our country. And of course, we're expecting other local provinces to make their way in here. So the numbers are quite good so far, but we're still waiting for more members to come. And of course, we've invited different other sister unions who will be joining us as well, and the general public. We will be marching from here at the meeting point from 10 o'clock, moving towards the union building where we are expected to deliver our memorandum around 2 o'clock. But in the main, our memorandum is about, of course, the underlying challenges that have been there within the different sectors within the criminal justice cluster. Issues around the understaffing, overcrowding within correctional centers, the killing of police officers, the uneven allocation of resources, and of course many other agreements that have been signed with within bargaining councils, which government has not fulfilled. There are numerous issues that we are raising. The reason why we decided to march directly to the union buildings is because we have been engaging with the different departments, the Department of, the SAPS, corrections, and of course traffic, transport, and yet over the years we have not seen any changes, satisfactory changes, despite the fact that there had been agreements. Now, we have recently observed that government is trying to casualize the public sector through some of the agreements that they would want us to sign. Remember the recent issues around the current wage negotiation, which government is offering 3%. And of course, we have rejected that offer because we feel that the current inflation rate stands at 7.8%. But as well, over the past 2 years, workers have not been getting increases in their salaries. And of course, the gratuity that is being offered, which is to entice workers, is not pensionable, meaning that the government wants to run away from the responsibility of contributing towards the pensions of workers. So in the long run, it might look like it's a good thing in the short term, but in the long run, it works against workers. So that is one of the reasons why we are rejecting this offer. But our march is not only solely on the basis that we have been engaging our structures since January when they were held their provincial congresses, and all provinces made it clear that we are tired of just bargaining and yet nothing happens. No results come out of the bargaining processes. And they felt that we need to we need to take our struggles to the streets. So beyond this march today, we will submit our memorandums and of course with time frames wherein we expect government to respond, and failure to respond accordingly or satisfactorily. We will then be having further engagement with our structures to look into what other measures we can take. So We are quite aware that most of our members are essential services, police officers, correctional officials, and traffic officials, which means that their role within communities is quite important at this time. But we have obviously mobilized those who are not on duty today and those who have taken leave. So, in that regard, we have not necessarily compromised the safety of South Africans. Just that you'll have a linear structure. Well, you'll have a a smaller number of these members within the criminal justice cluster being posted within different stations today as compared to any other day, because the majority of them have taken leave, and some of those who are not supposed to, well, who are off duty today, came all the way from different provinces. We take this much quite seriously, and we hope that government does abide to what we are demanding.
Okay, Richard, let me ask you a very important question. You have a list of about 20 issues that need to be agreed upon, and the conditions need to be met by government. Are you hopeful that they would concede to all of those 20 demands? What would be your point of departure or possibly point of acceptance out of these 20 demands?
All of these demands are important to us because they stretch across different sectors. Some of them have got they have got to do with the Department of Correctional Services, while some have got to do with SAPS and traffic. So they are all important because we represent all our members equally. So we are hopeful that all the three departments will consider all these demands without necessarily weighing which one is more important than the other. But as well, of course, this is a process where we do not expect that all can be implemented at the same time. What we will be doing is obviously to make observations around how they are being implemented, and of course, hopefully agree on time frames wherein we will see some of these demands being met within a short space of time.
Okay, two issues jump out at me, and that is on your list of demands, obviously, is police killing and attacks on correctional officers. And the other point is rising levels of violent crimes. Why have you raised that issue? Is it not perhaps out of the control of government? Is it not SAPS SAPs themselves that are totally responsible for these areas of actions? I mean,
That is
if you
why we are
had,
raising
if you,
them.
all right, let me just finish my train of thought. If we don't, surely if we have well trained and committed SAPS officials on the ground, you won't have rising levels of violent crime. If SAPS do their jobs and do their jobs as they meant to be doing them, we won't have the issue of rising levels of violent crime. So this issue comes directly and squarely at your door. Your guys are not doing what they are paid to do. They're not taking their job seriously enough.
Look, that is the point, because the fact of the matter is that if SAPS members cannot do their job sufficiently, it means that they are undercapacitated. And one of the reasons why they are undercapacitated is due to the fact that there have been a lot of budget cuts. Just this year alone, the SAP budget was cut by 15.8 billion rands, and in the next year it's going to be cut by 11.5 billion rands. That speaks to the capacity of the SAPS. It means lesser resources for training of police officers. We have made it clear that we need to ensure that police officers are trained on a regular basis, especially with the changing patterns of crime in the country. But
Mm,
there are no resources to actually ensure that. The SAPS staff complement has been on a decrease over the past 5 years. It was standing at 190,000. It is currently standing at 150,000. And of course, out of that 150,000, you've got about 30% of those who are office based. That is why, as POPCRU, is called for the restructuring of the SAPS to ensure that we take out all these people who are sitting in air conditioned offices at national and then provincial offices, so that they work on the ground and ensure that there are more boots on the ground so that there's more visibility. But then again, the budget cuts and, of course, issues around the uneven allocation of resources, wherein you find that police vans are stuck within police stations they are not being serviced for over a year or so,
Mm.
also have foreign impact. And all these issues are related to the budget cuts that have been happening. Otherwise, if there were enough sufficient budgets, we would obviously be proud that all resources are available for members to get proper training and ensure that they can actually do their work effectively. You know, it's easy to sit somewhere and say that police are lazy and are not doing their work, but the reality is that there are underlying challenges, of course, which need to be dealt with, but as well as the fact that as much as there might be those rogue elements within the SAPS, a majority of our police officers are committed to serving the people of South Africa. Another problem again is the issue of leadership within the SAPS. You remember that we've never had we've only had one national police commissioner who has finished his term of office. That was the first one, George Favors. And since then, there's been a lot of infighting within the leadership of the SAPS. That has also had a negative impact. And we think that it's quite important that in the future, the vetting processes within the SAPS must be looked into too, so that we appoint people without any skeletons who, after being appointed, are then focused on protecting their interests instead of focusing on ensuring that they capacitate and actually work towards improving the services of the SAPS.
Well said, Richard. Point taken indeed. Undoubtedly, those are glaring issues as far as SAPS is concerned. Not on, the whole issue around training and being capacitated. We do know, we are aware of the fact that there's been severe budget cuts, not only with SAPS, but right across the board. In closing, then, what do you want to say? I'd like to also say to you, good luck, and we hope and pray that all of your demands are met, that you can come to a situation of negotiation, a win-win situation. But what do you want to say in closing?
Well, we want to obviously urge members of the public who are not busy today to join our march, and of course, we will be taking all these issues forward. Beyond this point, we will then sit around and look into what other measures we can take. But it's something that is quite serious because our issues are not only centered on public servants alone, but they do affect the entire communities because at the end of the day, with the rising conditions of living currently, families of our members are also affected.
Of course, of course. Thank you indeed. Good luck with the handing over of the memorandum. We do hope and pray that your needs, all of your demands will be met to keep the country and the citizens safe. That was a POPCRU spokesperson, Richard Mamabolo, talking about the National March today. They are busy congregating as we speak at Church Square, and the march to the Union buildings will start at 10 o'clock this morning. Go well, good luck, and God bless. It is exactly 8:48 a.m. News and views right here on Salam Media.